We're stood in a part of the Colne Valley Western Slopes, which is part of the HS2 project. To the north of us, we have the south portal of the Chiltern Tunnel, the construction of which is complete. And to the south of us, we have the Colne Valley Viaduct, and that again, the construction is pretty much complete. And in between those two areas, we have the Colne Valley Western Slopes. My job as an ecologist was to see what we could give back in terms of habitat creation within the Colne Valley Western Slope area. And we came up with this design that uses all of the chalk from the Chiltern Tunnel, which is beneath my feet, and all of the soils from within this area, which was previously an arable landscape with quite depleted soils and very little kind of biodiversity associated with it. And what we've planned to do, and what we've now probably about 40% completed, is a large habitat creation project totaling around 127 hectares of natural habitats. In total, we've got around 90 hectares of chalk grassland and scrub, with most of the rest of the habitat made up of woodland. And also we've designed in some wetland habitats. And the reason why we've tried to do that is because whenever you bring water into areas that are normally dry, like chalk grassland, you bring a lot of biodiversity with it.
We've already placed around just under 3 million cubic metres of chalk from the Chiltern's tunnel. There's still some stockpiled on the site for the remaining works. The southern section of the site is largely completed. Parts of the chalk go up to 20 metres deep in places on the eastern part of the site. So there's been a huge landscape change here, but it's all been carefully designed with runoff taken into account by a really experienced team of landscape architects. But you can already see behind me it's taking shape well. Over the next sort of few years, this should really develop.
This site had low levels of soil organic matter and so soil carbon, quite high levels of soil nutrients, and also low levels of biodiversity. It was really a homogeneous landscape and didn't offer much in the way of habitats. The habitat we wanted to create, i.e. chalk grassland, really thrives on droughty soils and low levels of soil nutrients. So we embarked on a 5-year research project with Cranfield University. What we've done here is to create a series of laboratory and field trials designed to optimise the soil profiles for the eventual landscaping. Over in the southwestern corner of this site, all along the fence line, we created a series of trials looking at the different habitat types, so calcareous grassland, wetlands and planting, all looking to achieve the conditions that we needed. A few years down the line, having started on those trials, we're now into fully landscaping the site. We're about halfway through on that landscaping journey. We've started to see some real niche calcareous or calcareous grassland species starting to emerge, which is fantastic to see. The tree planting is very much in its early stages, but we're starting to see that it's coming up and starting to survive through a few planting seasons. And the wetland habitats we're particularly proud of, because it required a bit of innovative thinking there in terms of how we actually created them using the tunnel risings. But they're starting to wet up nicely and hold water over winter. And hopefully over time we'll start to see that continue.
On the other side of the fence, from where we're standing, we've got our tree planting areas. We're planting over 65,000 trees on part of this site. The fencing has two purposes. Firstly, it stops any deer and rabbits from entering the planting areas whilst they're establishing. And also we are looking to place grazing cattle on this land once it's a little bit more established. We've also realigned and proposed an additional user routes, which total approximately 4 kilometres in length. And this will allow the local community, once the site is open and operational, to wander on public rights of way and also around grass routes. We've also got a canopying route, which was part of the hybrid build proposals, and that's been purposely built for that. We're approximately halfway through with our landscape works on site. As the site starts to finish off, we will be moving northwards to the areas that you perhaps can see in the background. That will include additional earthworks and planting. We're also going to have a series of viewing areas, going on over the coming years, which will allow our future users of this space to be able to view this landscape and also to view HS2, watching the trains coming up and down the route from a safe and interesting location.
In this particular space, the Colne Valley Western Slopes, I think what we will put back as a result of this project will be infinitely better for wildlife and for biodiversity and for climate change mitigation and carbon sequestration and all of these other different aspects than what came before, which was a large arable field that probably wasn't that productive in terms of kind of arable farming and cereal crop productivity. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's a great project to work on. It's a very unusual project to work on. This is an example of a project that has been led by designers from landscape and ecology particularly, and from soil scientists and from environmental scientists rather than engineers. That's very, very unusual in terms of big projects, that you have a design vision and a set of design principles that are led by landscape architects and ecologists who've dreamt up this wonderful project.
What we're trying to achieve really is a naturalistic landscape. It is supposed to be a semi-natural habitat that we're looking for. Hopefully it won't look too different from what else you find in the Chilterns. And it will be a dynamic landscape. There won't be one finished product when we get to the end of construction. This is going to continue into the future.
I'm really proud to stand here today. Where we are at the moment is represented, for me anyway, 8 years into the project. It seems like a long time ago now, probably 5 or 6 years, where I was drawing lines on a piece of trace paper and we were scanning them in to explore how the cut and fill balance would work and how we can integrate this site into its surrounding context. So it's great to see that full design process take place, the fill coming out of the tunnel, it being put onto the ground, compacted to the levels that it needs to be, and then the topsoil, subsoils being put back as part of the Cranfield trials to help establish this great biodiversity and hopefully be a really good legacy for the community in the future.
This site is really important to show how the ambitious design can be brought together between the production teams, environment teams, landscaping teams, everyone that's contributed to really enhance this local area. We've got new bridleways and cycle paths going through the site. We'll be reopening the bridleways that have been temporarily closed throughout, and they will actually have improved and people will have a better experience travelling through this area now. And I'm looking forward to coming back across many years' time, showing friends and family what we've worked on.